their eyes were not lowered in subjugation, but took in everything and everyone around them, was truly only prudence and strategy. They noted every detail of their surroundings, mayhap already plotting a confrontation and escape. As they came fully into the bailey, Ada stepped back, ducking under the eaves of the overhang along this part of the keep, pulling her grey cloak more tightly about her dark hair. She had no fear of being discovered. Her betrothed loved an audience, she'd learned, but thought to separate herself from any coming violence. She had no desire to witness again exactly how brutal John Craig could be. The prisoners were instructed to dismount. One sizable soldier was dragged off his mount, already wounded, the blood-soaked tartan said. The boy fell to his knees as he landed on the ground, and was quickly rewarded with a hard kick to his side. One of his comrades jumped in front of him, taking the next blow and throwing back a ferocious growl as the boy managed to gain his feet behind him. John Craig approached the man who'd come to the boy's defence, standing eye to eye with the large warrior, who was cowed not at all by either John's intentional menace or his own lack of weapons. From this distance, the words exchanged between John and his captive were lost to Ada. She caught only hints of the sounds. The man's voice was deep, his diction heavily accented, so unlike John's practiced and precious speech. John threw his head back and laughed at something the man said. Ada cringed at the sound, so false and terrifying. Ada studied the brave man, who did not flinch before her betrothed. Mayhap he knew not how precarious his own position was just now. Perhaps all that bravado came with some erroneous belief that he might still be alive come this time tomorrow. When one of John's soldiers reached again for the youth, the man threw himself in front of the lad. His hands were untied, and he pulled the boy behind him. John liked to prove his own courageousness, his own superiority, by leaving hands unbound. Easy to do when surrounded by your own loyal men-at-arms. For his efforts to defend the lad, the man received a gauntleted fist to the face, and blood dripped immediately from his lip. He stumbled, but did not fall, and he did not release the arm of the boy. Ada considered him more closely as he straightened, and stood eye to eye with her betrothed once more. She had an impression of height and breadth. He stood as tall as John, but was broader across the shoulders. He wore no helmet, none of his comrades did, and showed a mane of very dark blonde, long and tousled, with sweat and dirt and blood. An angry frown furrowed his brows, and she thought his teeth might be clenched, but that was all Ada could distinguish across the distance of the yard. Her betrothed was saying something to him, and his lips seemed to curl at the words, and then the boy was yanked from his grasp by another Craig minion. He reacted instantly, trying to regain hold of the boy's arm, while the boy cried out, giving up what had remained of his own courage. One of John's soldiers dragged the lad away, while the big man was beaten to the ground by 3 more Craig men for his attempts to stop it. Ada had seen enough. She swallowed her revulsion and slipped away, back inside the keep. Somehow, Ada managed to dine with her betrothed, as expected, without giving any hint that she had witnessed his return, or the happenings in the yard only hours before. "And what have you been about these 3 days while I was gone, my dear?" John asked. Revelling in your absence was her first thought. She felt Margaret, John's sister, nearly jump out of her skin at her side at the sound of her brother's voice. "We've been very busy with the mending," Ada answered vaguely, and thought to add, "And yesterday we helped out with the candle making." He chewed upon the dried-out meat and her words. Ada cast a glance at Margaret, but the girl would not lift her eyes from her plate, though she ate not at all. Poor Margaret, who seemed only a shadow of a true person, submissive and subjugated. Margaret was only a year younger than Ada's 21 years, but behaved as might a child of many fewer years. Whether her cowed and simple manner was due, in fact, to her brother.